13 News Now at 5 begins with an update to breaking news near San Francisco. Officials say an active shooter is at YouTube's headquarters. The ATF San Francisco Field Division is responding. You're looking live at the scene right now. The ABC station in the area is reporting that the shooter is a woman and that several people are hurt. So far, there are no reports of any deaths at the San Bruno campus. About 1,700 people work at the campus, which has been evacuated. The situation still developing right now. We'll continue to bring you the latest information.
A multi-city police chase ends with shots fired and a suspect on the run. Well, now Virginia State Police is getting involved. The
pursuit started early this morning on South Military Highway in Chesapeake and stopped on Victory Boulevard in Portsmouth. 13 News Now reporter Allie Weatherton is live in Portsmouth with more.
Well, David, officers have been at this trailer park for about 12 hours now, and I want you to zoom in here. You can look through this chain link fence. You can see the state police truck is still here, and if you zoom in a little bit closer, you can see that was the car the suspect was driving in. You can see they are searching right now. Several officers are searching. It looks like they're looking into a bag, and actually that suspect is still on the run right now, and neighbors are very worried.
I was sound asleep. Gunshots woke me up.
For people living in the Victory Mobile Home Park, the sound of gunfire isn't typically their morning wake-up call.
Looked out the window and I seen the blue lights. So I was like, oh no. And then of course I was running from window to window to see what was going on.
This morning, Chesapeake police tried to stop a Ford Mustang for a traffic violation. That's when the suspect took off. He ended here in Portsmouth at the trailer park. Police say that's when the suspect got out of the car and shot at officers and ran. You can see several bullet holes on the windshield of this cruiser.
It is crazy. It's unusual around here.
Officers were not injured, and for most of the day, police attempted to track down the suspect, even bringing a police canine to the scene. Joy Library says officers came knocking at her door.
They thought my trailer had been hit by a bullet.
Fortunately, her home was not damaged. Now, state police is taking over this investigation from here. You can see they are still here at the scene and will be here, I'm told, for several hours. Now, if you know anything about this incident, give them a call. Live in Portsmouth, Allie Weatherton, 13 News Now.
So far this month, mild air has made it finally feel like spring. The sun's shining bright over Norfolk today. Unfortunately, the warmth isn't here to stay. We have some big changes headed our way, right, Evan?
That's right. We'll see them over the next several days. Of course, we've had some slow, gradual changes today, talking about those warm temperatures slowly working their way into the area. Lots of beautiful sunshine on the peninsula. Our LFCU camera up in Oyster Point, but a wide range of temperatures, almost 80 degrees through North Carolina. Edenton and Elizabeth City both coming in at 78. It's 68 in Williamsburg, 63 in Norfolk, still 58 up across the eastern shore. That warm air slowly working its way northward. That'll be the case later tonight. Most of us will be into the mid-60s as the clouds will start to roll in as well. Again, took a long time for some of the clouds start to erode away. Finally started to. Now we're tracking a few showers through western Virginia. Can't totally rule out an isolated sprinkle tonight. But the big story tomorrow will be this cold front that's moving through parts of Missouri and Arkansas right now. Push through here tomorrow afternoon, giving us a good chance at some showers and thunderstorms, and some of those could be on the strong side. We'll have to watch that closely, but at least through the next 6 hours, temperatures pretty much holding in the low 70s in the areas where it's in the 70s, and then eventually dropping into the mid 60s. And also notice those clouds on the increase this evening as well. Now we'll time things out with Futurecast, let you know what to expect through the day tomorrow, and a much cooler forecast for this weekend. All that and more coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Evan. Well, breaking news, Norfolk police arrested 25-year-old Trayvon Lane in connection with a double shooting. He now faces several charges. This all stems from a shooting on Mariner Street in the Tidewater Gardens neighborhood last Friday. Police tell us Lane knew the two victims. Now, one victim remains in the hospital in critical condition. Another was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. So far, police have not released the motive or circumstances surrounding this shooting.
Live now to downtown Norfolk, our tower cam right there. Tonight, City Council is reviewing a proposed budget for the next fiscal year. The city manager is proposing a tax increase to address some big issues. 13 News Now reporter Jacqueline Lee is live with those details.
David, some of those issues include aging infrastructure, sea level rise, and poverty. So Norfolk City Manager Doug Smith is recommending a 10-cent real estate tax increase as a way to address those issues.
Perhaps the biggest problem local government has is complacency, an unwillingness or an inability to deal with big problems.
Norfolk City Manager Doug Smith said he doesn't want Norfolk to be complacent, so he's tackling the city's biggest issues through this year's budget.
And our big problems are real. They are sea level rise and poverty and aging infrastructure. And to tackle those problems requires new revenues.
He's proposing that new revenue come in the form of a 10-cent real estate tax increase. To address poverty, 19% of revenue generated from the increased tax, or $3.5 million, will be invested in the St. Paul's Redevelopment Initiative.
Norfolk has 30% of the public housing in the region, and so it is imperative that we tackle or take on an approach of inclusive economic growth that allows us to help those folks and lift those residents up and allow them to be productive.
Smith said the regional economy is sluggish. We haven't bounced back since the last recession. He added the state gives the city $27 million less than what they gave in 2009.
And if you adjust that for inflation, that's $74 million that would help us pay for things like education and public safety.
So to make up for that, he's proposing 27% of revenue from that tax increase go towards new school buses, school maintenance, and construction, a total of $5 million.
If we want to do the things that will make Norfolk great or continue to make Norfolk great, then we need to invest. And investing is in those big challenges and solving big problems.
And coming up on 13 News Now at 6, I'll tell you how the city plans to tackle the issue of sea level rise. Jacqueline Lee, 13 News Now.
Today, the military community remembers Lieutenant Colonel John Penry. He was deputy commander of JEB Little Creek Fort Story. Penry died last week at his home. He was 61 years old. Today, a memorial service was held at the chapel on base. Mourners honored Penry's 43 years of service to his country as a U.S. Army officer.
He was much more than just our deputy commander. He was a friend, he was a father, he was a patriot. A man that served, 7 combat tours from Afghanistan to Iraq to Bosnia and dedicated over 43 years of his life.
The New York native reported to Little Creek in April of 2015. He leaves behind a wife and 6 children.
Woman injured in a Hampton house fire 2 weeks ago died at a local hospital today. The blaze broke out March 21st on Holliswood Drive. Fire officials say it was accidentally caused by smoking materials. The 85-year-old woman had been in critical condition. 2 other people still are recovering. Fire officials say the house is too damaged to live in. Right now, we do not know how that woman died.
Allegiant Air adds a new route from Norfolk International Airport to Jacksonville, Florida. The airport and airline believe this route will have a large impact on the military community, helping to connect Naval Station Norfolk to Naval Air Station Jacksonville and Naval Station Mayport.
Survey shows that about 15% of our total passengers are either directly in the military or their military families.
This is starting as a seasonal route, June 14th through August 12th. Now, if successful, the airline may extend it. Tickets are available now, starting at $49 for travel on Thursdays and Sundays.
NASA is developing a new experimental aircraft, and we're getting a first look. This video shows researchers creating a scale model at NASA Langley in Hampton. 13 News Now reporter Nico Clemens shows us the X-plane and explains why it's now called the Low Boom Flight Demonstrator.
A new technology.
A lot of dreaming goes into developing something like this.
NASA is working to make supersonic flight over land possible. They awarded a contract to Lockheed Martin Aeronautics Company to finish the design and build a supersonic manned X-plane, the Low Boom Flight Demonstrator.
And the first manned X-plane was the X-1 and broke the sound barrier. Chuck Yeager back in 1947, I think. And this X-plane, we're going to fix the sound barrier.
When airplanes fly at supersonic speed, they make sonic booms.
So it would sound like boom, boom.
Chief engineer at NASA Langley, J. Brandon, says because of the loud noise, supersonic aircrafts are barred from flying across land. The purpose of the X-plane is to shape an aircraft that reduces a sonic boom to a gentle thump.
It's developing technology that will hopefully impact everybody's lives in a positive way eventually.
So think of it like this. This aircraft is going to fly at supersonic speed
but quietly.
We think that we can shape that pressure profile that makes that loud boom to quiet that down so that it's not a problem for flying over people and over land.
The X-plane will fly at 55,000 feet at about 940 miles per hour. The plan is to start flight tests by 2021 to prove the quiet supersonic technology works.
This is one piece of opening up faster air travel, being able to fly somewhere quicker. Instead of taking 6 hours to go across the country, maybe you take 3 hours or 2 hours.
The low boom flight demonstration mission also serves another purpose. I'll tell you what that is later at 6. In Hampton, Nico Clemens, 13 News Now.
Local Navy families are getting ready to say goodbye to their loved ones aboard the USS Winston S. Churchill. The guided missile destroyer is expected to deploy this Thursday, April 5th. The ship will leave Naval Station Norfolk for the Navy's 5th and 6th Fleet areas of operation. Those areas include the Persian Gulf and Europe.
Huntington Ingalls Industries is going down under. The owner of Newport News Shipbuilding has been awarded a contract to establish and manage Australia's Naval Shipbuilding College. Establishing the college is part of a $69 billion investment in Australia's shipbuilding enterprise over the next 30 years.
Some nurse practitioners in Virginia could get a little more freedom if Governor Ralph Northam signs a bill that's sitting on his desk. The legislation would get rid of the requirement that nurse practitioners with a certain amount of clinical experience have a contract with a physician who oversees them. Supporters say the agreement are unnecessary and sometimes costly. They say getting rid of them could expand access to health care in areas that really need it.